Welcome to the Midlife Academy podcast. I'm your host, Bree Smith, and my guest today is Midlife Academy instructor Courtney Burton. Courtney's 8-week course, Next Chapter Reset, Creating Momentum, is designed for those ready to make some changes in their life, who are looking for direction, inspiration, connections, and help in moving forward. Courtney brings over 20 years of senior leadership experience across Fortune 100 organizations, and she's also a successful jazz vocalist and performer. She brings a unique blend of corporate wisdom and a heart-centered approach to her work. She currently serves as AARP Minnesota's State Volunteer President and was named 2023 Board Member of the Year by the National Concierge Association Minnesota Chapter. Courtney Burton, welcome to the Midlife Academy podcast.
So much for having me.
My pleasure. So I thought I would like to just start right out by asking about your work with individuals who are navigating change and reinvention. And I imagine they're coming to you, maybe some in a state of exhaustion or uncertainty, but with that hope that there's, something exciting coming for them in the future. So I'm just curious to hear what drew you to this kind of work.
Well, it's a long story, and I'll try to make it fairly short. But when I first started the coaching and facilitation practice, I had mentioned to people I was taking training for this, and I had people come to me saying, "Hey, are you really going to do that?"
Wow.
And that was the momentum, because at that time I had left my world, the corporate world, and was going to pursue my music more full time. Because at my age, I still had my voice, and I'm like, what if I actually pursue this? And that was in 2019. So 2020, life was a little different.
Yeah.
And I had people come to me. And that work started out really around what just happened. I don't know how to navigate this. And then it evolved into much more. So my clients told me what they needed. It was fascinating. So we went from a lot of life coaching to this, I realize I need to change what's going on. So it was more a little past I've got clarity to, okay, now how do I put something in action?
Mm-hmm.
So what drew me to the work, I know it was a long question to get you into how I got here, but what drew me to the work is I've kind of always been this mentor guide.
Yeah.
It's been just kind of inherently who I am. And then I put some rigor around it and created a business from it.
That's wonderful. That's fantastic. And the fact that folks were following up with you to see if you were doing this, they saw that too clearly. Like they're like, yes, I want to, I want to be in that role with Courtney, kind of guiding me. And I love too that you were, part of your own transition too. So, like in the thick of it, making, this like really powerful decision to foreground music as well. So I imagine how that could play into helping others as well.
Absolutely. And I use this quote a lot, but people who do what I do, teachers, we normally teach what we need.
Right.
Right? So
Yep.
somewhere we're in a different part of whatever that journey looks like in our lives, and we can give back and give forward on that
hmm
piece. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So I'd love to kind of hone in on career change at midlife, which, can be daunting. And
Yes.
I'm curious specifically here, like those concrete steps, how are you helping folks working in this sphere of looking for career change?
Yes. In my private work, what we do is I really help people. First of all, we start by daydreaming. I know
Yeah.
that sounds odd, but as adults, we forget to daydream, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if? And don't worry about all the constraints of life. What if? And represence kind of, oh, that would be really cool to pursue. And it may be more than one thing. Then we dig in a little bit to what are your values? And I say that if we use values as the verbs of our life, they're the actions that we take. And then from there, I like to create an intention statement or declaration for this phase of your life. And that becomes the filter for your decision making. Because now
Mm.
you've gotten like, oh, here's this vision, this dream. How cool would that be? All right, what do I stand for again? Because at midlife, we've had so many different things happen in our lives. I think it's really important to take just a little time to come back to, okay, who am I? Not as wife, mother, husband, whatever your title is, not as that, just who am I as a human? And from that position, I find that people can start to move powerfully through the work. I also walk people through what I call creating your ideal, your dating profile for your ideal work environment.
Yeah.
Because at this age, part of it is that if
Mhm.
you've decided you want to work in a traditional way, there's also this whole conversation of what does work look like at this stage? And is it work or should it be reframed for some people more of what's my contribution?
Right.
What fills my cup? How do I want to use my energy out there in the world, right? And my
Mhm.
expertise. And that could look a whole lot of different ways than what we think of as traditional work. Now, depending on where you are in your your life cycle, this journey, it may be critical for you to actually go down a more traditional path.
Yeah.
My goal in the work, though, is to help you do that empowered, because then you're making intentional decisions, right? If it does it fit my ideal profile for the kind of work environment I want to thrive?
Right.
And if it doesn't, I'm making a conscious decision. Yes, I'm willing to forego X for
Mhm.
this point in time. How do I go get X fulfilled? It may be outside the workplace.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the core of it. And then after that, we've got it like crystal clear clarity of where we're heading. And now it becomes, okay, how do we find it? And I
Right.
am finding in the work now, I'm helping people really look at what their network looks like and
Uh-huh.
what resources that we have. Um, a lot of folks that have been in traditional jobs for a long time, you get in your little work bubble and you really don't, like meeting new people outside. And
Mhm.
that could be not just for work, but friendships, resources, common interest. We forget
Mhm.
how to make friends as adults,
Absolutely.
right? I
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. When you're a little kid, you'd see somebody else on the playground. Hey, you want to play? Sure, let's go. I mean,
Right.
it was that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. No, absolutely. And with the kind of like transformation you're talking about and the kind of intention behind thinking like what that career change could be, it could be a significant move to a new, entirely new network. And absolutely that
Yes.
question of how to find those people, how to tap in, how to, find out what they're talking about, absolutely sounds like a challenge to me.
And the other piece is when you've been in a position or an industry, not a position, but an industry for a
Mhm.
long time, it gets easy to think, well, this is just what I do. So you're not clear about your skill set and what you
Right.
bring. And
Right.
two, it does take a little effort to think what is transferable
Mhm.
to different industries or different careers or whatever it may be. Yeah.
Right, right. Well, we're talking transitions. I'm also curious about folks looking to a next chapter in retirement or, a retirement-esque kind of sphere.
Yes.
And here I'm curious, what you're hearing from folks about what they're looking for in this phase of life and how you think retirement is kind of changing for today's generation.
Well, I love I had someone significantly younger when I started making this transition on my own say, "Oh, you're not retiring, you're refiring up." And I went, "I like that."
Yeah.
There is that. There's typically somewhere in midlife a lot happening. You've got change with career normally comes up where there's like, yeah, this isn't quite fitting the way I want, or whatever might be
Right.
driving that. Change in relationships at home. If you've raised humans, then the empty nesting might happen. Caregiving tends to kick in
Mhm.
that time of life. There's just a lot. And I think inside of that, there's like back to what do I want to do with these years going forward? So
Yeah.
I think the term retirement, I don't see that many people that I work with going, I just want to sit back and chill. I don't
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
Even those who decide not to go back into a traditional workplace.
Mhm.
I had one client, we at first it was like, yeah, I want to do this. It was very clear. And then it was like, as time went on, it's like, I'm going to write a book. And his book was, it's amazing. And then he realized, I'm okay just hanging out with the grandkids and traveling and helping out with houses right now. That's,
Yeah.
he's one of those, he's very handy. So he goes and helps this child with their project in this house and and he gets to spend time with the grandkids, and
Yeah.
it worked for him. Um, Other people maybe go into more of a fractional role or a consulting role where they have more control of their time.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
that's the other thing I hear when people are looking at let's not call it retirement, let's call it the encore career.
Yeah.
And that may be a career for pay or not, right?
Right.
I work with AARP, and I would report that a lot of the volunteers with AARP, that is part of their career now. That's their encore career.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so I think there's elements of that, but it's really it's a different exploration when people are at that stage to make the determination of what the next 10, 15 years of their lives may be looking like.
Yeah. Yeah. But for both of these transitions, what's clear to me is like the importance of taking this time to, like you say, daydream, reflect, slow down, kind of reconnect with yourself,
Yeah.
to be in the place to kind of start making these decisions and maybe thinking outside the box of what might be in store for you.
Absolutely. I'm an avid believer that we should have friends of all generations,
Yeah.
not children, friends, right?
Yeah.
Beyond that. And I happen to be blessed with a woman who I've worked with for several years now. She's kind of my right hand in the music business. And, we're 40 years apart.
Yeah.
40 years.
Yeah.
I learned so much from her about what life could look like. She is
Mm,
exceedingly intentional about her time. She has really good boundaries about how she spends it. And
mm,
while, she could probably work as much as she wanted to at I'm going to call it her day job,
yeah.
she's chosen to, I like this many hours here, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and she gets to travel. Where was that model when
Yeah.
my age group was growing up, right? But she embodies that model every day. And to me, that's also the perfect model for what this encore career could look like.
Right. Right. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm wondering about, maybe I'm not ready to, dive right into full on career change, but I'm feeling burnt out and I'm looking for some kind of hope and start to build something. Are there small steps that people can take to, start to work towards some kind of momentum to change?
Absolutely. I think I'm a big fan of notice and name. So if you start to feel that discontent, like something's not right here, that's
Mm.
the perfect time to just take a second. And it
Yeah.
may, if you're not, I'm not a big journaler, but if you're a journaler, write it down. Like start writing, do that practice every morning for maybe 2 weeks and see what starts to bubble up. Our cell phones are lovely. Hit record your thoughts,
Yeah.
right? And then have them go through some kind of dictation process, and then you see what again comes up. But again, it's all about taking that moment to acknowledge, oh, this is what's going on.
Hmm.
I'm feeling discontent. Where is that showing up?
Hmm.
And how's it making me feel? And then also, what's that affecting? Because it's got a
Mm.
ripple effect through life someplace. And it may be the stories you're telling yourselves, those fixed beliefs that we may have. You may find yourself being a little more brisk with people, or not
Mm.
as patient, or you want to, if you're like me, I'm a bit of an introvert. I just need my cocoon time. Like I need to go within. If you're finding yourself needing to recharge more, that's normally also another sign to take a moment to just sit down and go, notice a name and say, I'm
Mhm.
discontent.
Yeah.
Okay, now that I know that's what's really going on, what actions can I take to maybe help that are healthy, right? There's a lot of things we can do when we're discontent that are maybe don't really help move us forward.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to say, I'm not ready to move forward right now. That's another notice and name. I'm good. You know what? I'm just going to sit here for a bit with this.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that in it, that's itself it's an action. No
Yeah.
action is an action. It's an action, but sometimes that extra time might be enough for you to process it as well. I
Yeah.
And I definitely have, there's a lot of people out there that want to, that, you can chat with.
Mhm.
The course that we're teaching is ideal for that,
Yeah.
right? And even if you're not ready to take action now, if you've got the game plan, that's half the battle,
Right.
right?
Right.
When I decided to leave my corporate world, my family had done a bit of an intervention. They're like, look, we've seen stressed out Courtney. We know this Courtney. We don't like this Courtney. You need to start thinking about what's going on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I went to a coach that was specialized in the move to retirement.
Hmm.
And I did it basically to tell the family, see, I'm doing something.
Yep.
So that was kind of the real motivation
Yeah.
behind. And
Yeah.
through the process, right? We did a bunch of assessments and all kinds of things in the work. And she finally sat down and she said to me, she goes, I've never seen anybody more emotionally ready to make this change.
Yeah.
You really need to reconsider your timeline.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like,
Okay.
okay, okay, okay.
That's a powerful
That
statement.
was
For
powerful.
your
That was
timeline.
powerful.
You're right.
Look at your
Yeah.
timeline. Because
Wow.
she had known that I was thinking about the music, but this coaching practice. She goes, what if your coaching practice got started 5 years before you're thinking it should?
Yeah.
What do we put in place to have that happen?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was it was a powerful moment. I've been blessed with two very powerful moments when I've engaged coaches.
Mhm.
Um, and done this kind of work that we're doing at Midlife Academy, and that was one.
Mhm.
And then the other was years earlier in my career where I was feeling discontented. I didn't know what was I don't, it was almost like I knew I don't fit here anymore.
Yeah.
And I also knew unless I didn't take full charge of my career, nobody was going to. I was a, a steady employee. They knew what they were going to get from me. I was one of those keep my head down, get my work done, excel at everything I do.
Yeah.
And the coach that I hired looked at me, she goes, what if you were in an environment where you felt you were thriving? You are spending too much of your energy trying to survive in the environment you're in. It's not you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Another one of those moments. Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes we need somebody from the outside to tell us the kind truth, right? As somebody says, I love that phrase, the kind truth. And yeah, it's a good thing.
Right. No, and there, like, I'm thinking of the difference between like success versus thriving, and a thriving where you're sparking, where, like you can work your butt off for the company and, succeed, but is that thriving? That's a really interesting distinction there.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Mhm. So you've referenced the Midlife Academy, and I wanted to bring in the Midlife Academy course because I think what distinguishes what Midlife Academy is up to is this idea that folks should be like come together, bringing folks together at these similar stages of life, and like what can happen in this kind of cohort experience. And so I'm
Mhm.
curious, like your thoughts about why this group facilitation, group cohort ideas is powerful to helping people move forward.
Boy, there's so many reasons. One is you realize you're not alone. And
Yeah.
there is comfort in knowing that other people are on the same part of the path of our lives' journeys as you are. There's a lot of comfort in that. Two, we get to model for each other all the different options. Like,
Oh,
oh, I never thought about that, right? So there's that piece. We talked earlier about really kind of looking at what your resources are. All of a sudden, you're in a room with people that you can tap into their resources and they can tap into yours.
yeah.
Oh, and maybe you might end up with a couple of new friends along the way too, right?
Right.
And then
Absolutely.
there's that accountability and support, right? When you're with other people, that accountability becomes a different thing for us, I think, because then hey, how did you do on that? You don't want to let yourself down, but for me, it's harder to let others down. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Absolutely. No, and when we were talking about the small steps and pausing to journal, I was thinking like it sounds like the kind of New Year's resolution that feels like a good thing to do, and then you get busy and these things fall aside. But so that accountability piece to me seems huge, particularly if it's someone else that's also saying like, yes, I'm also working for these changes and like benefiting from your support as well. So this kind of mutual support, cheerleading, whatever you need to like kind of start to make these habits.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then the class offers structure to do all this,
Yeah.
right? So you don't have to necessarily carve out the time differently. You're like, if you make a commitment to whatever the group might be, whether it's something like this or something different, it's like, okay, the time is already set aside. You know the intention of using that time. And hopefully because other people are involved, you're less likely to say, oh, I'm too busy for that.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have to talk about music. I'm a musician
Okay.
myself. I've always had this kind of music life that has always been bracketed off from my work life. And there's ways that that's very therapeutic for me. But I think it's so interesting that you call yourself a coach who sings and a singer who coaches. So I really want to know about how you see the connection between these two and how these different hats kind of inspire you.
Well, it's it's interesting. Speaking of transferable skills, that's one thing that's come up, and I'll tell a brief story about that in a second. I coined that phrase for myself because I didn't want that complete split.
Yeah.
It is who I am. I've done this dual path for decades now, and I don't see them as two very different things. I see them as different expressions of the same thing, and that is that through the power of my voice, I create spaces where people get to relax, reflect, and get in touch a little bit more, hopefully, with their own humanity. Those moments to just go, okay,
Right.
that's my goal right there, is to create those moments.
Yeah.
Girl, it's for right now, I'm all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's part of it. Now, back to the transferable skills. I was interviewing with a group to do facilitation of their material
Mm.
at which is they have a lovely business model. But anyway, and well, do you have video of you facilitating? And at the time I didn't, because most of my work is with private organizations, so we
Yeah.
don't think about
Yeah.
videotaping. That no, I don't. And then it dawned on me. I said, well, if I can handle drunks at a bar in the middle of a show, I think I can handle a room of 75 to 100 professionals. And they're like, you've got a point.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, that's great.
I don't know why that struck me at the time, but I'm like, well, that's the truth, right?
But it's such a great point about like how we don't think about skills like and the skills of like stage presence and performance and bringing a room together in the way you do when you're singing. So
Exactly.
yeah.
And what people, if I'm performing at, let's say, a fundraiser or something like that, people don't understand everything that's going on at that time, right? So you are multitasking, again, very transferable skills for facilitating a
Yeah.
group. I am watching the clock.
Yeah.
I am watching for text that there's been a change in time frame or
Mhm.
schedules. I'm listening to what my musicians are doing. I'm managing kind of what's happening out there with the crowd. If I need to make a change in the set list, like, oh, maybe we should put a song that's a little faster or slower here, whatever. And I'm singing, right?
Wait, you're singing at the same time? Yeah.
I'm doing all of it at the same time. So highly transferable
Yeah.
to doing group facilitations.
That's wonderful. Well, it's been such a pleasure to chat with you this morning. Thank you
Oh,
for joining the Midlife Academy podcast, and we're so excited to have you teaching a course for us.
I'm looking so forward to what this will birth for people. Like what's possible, right? We don't dream in what's possible anymore
Mhm.
enough. So that's my goal, is to have people walk out with, I have several things that are possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's wonderful. Well, thanks everyone for listening. To learn more about upcoming Midlife Academy courses such as Courtney's and find other podcast episodes and webinars, head to our website, midlife.umn.edu. Thanks everyone.